Hey guys, welcome back to Live with Stateside Affairs. I'm here, Christina Benzone, and I have Skylar Vanderveer with me. One of the things that I like to do is occasionally bring on, um, you know, members from our organization, and I want to introduce them to the community. And I think that Skylar has done such a tremendous job with Stateside Affairs that Skylar, kudos to you, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm so great to be in front of the camera instead of behind the scenes working. It is definitely an adjustment so far.
Yeah, Skylar's usually one of our producers, but I thought that it was very appropriate to have Skylar on board because some of the other work the work that she's been working on. And so we have someone that another special guest that we would like to introduce because actually one of my favorite people during that I've known for a really long time and during Pride Month, which is celebrated every year during the month of June. And I know it's a little late in the month, but for scheduling reasons, we had to do it today. But our friend Joe is going to tell us what we can still do during the month. So why don't we just bring on Joe, and Joe, let's chat.
Hi, Christina. Hi, Skylar. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
So Joe, we were just talking before, I've known you for a really long time. I think that, you're young, you're vibrant, but I feel like I've known you more than a decade. I remember starting off our political and governmental careers at a really young age. And we've worked for, the Democratic Party, and we've been to these conventions together and so forth. So you are, in my opinion, awesome, super awesome, such a nice person overall, but you're very sought by these very prominent organizations. And I think that for someone that as a young professional, kudos to you for everything that you're doing.
Oh, thanks, Christina. Yeah, we were just babies when we got into it, right? And
now we're not. I mean, not me.
Yeah, it's funny how over the years, you grow up, you start knocking on doors, you get into it, and over the past couple of years, Stateside Affairs, I've been really proud to see with your organization the work that you are doing as well. So I'm really grateful for you both for having me today.
Thanks.
So Christina, why don't you tell for all of the people who aren't familiar with Joe, just some of the amazing accolades that he has under his belt?
I mean, he has so many, so where do I start? And Joe can probably add a little bit more context to them, but I know that Joe is, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, but I know that you're the vice chair. You have all these titles, which is amazing. But you have the vice chair of the New Jersey LGBTQ Democratic Caucus. I believe you were the co-chair of the LGBTQ for President Biden and Kamala Harris for New Jersey. And just recently you were named on Insider NJ's LGBT Power List for the third year in a row. Am I correct?
Yeah. So Christina, I kind of got started in Skylar from an early age, was always into politics and government. My sister, she's disabled. So from an early age, public service was so important to me. But when you had invited me, I was so excited to get the opportunity to talk with you all today because the LGBTQ field, the realm, that's something that's been really passionate with me, getting folks more elected. You mentioned with the vice chair with the caucus. We'll dive in a little bit. There's some good candidates up this year that are running in November. President Biden, it was a great opportunity to connect with the campaign. I think being so close to Philadelphia, which is where they were located, that really was, we were able to make connections, get involved with that. And then my baby, being involved with the national campaign board with the Victory Fund, the LGBTQ Victory Fund, which if folks aren't familiar with it, it's kind of like a national organization that trains and recruits LGBTQ candidates throughout the country. And that's something that's really been great to connect with folks on that.
So talk about it a little bit more. So you mentioned that your sister, and I think that she, correct me if I'm wrong again, but your experience, your life experiences, and your sister kind of has driven a lot of your passion, and it's driven a lot of the work and initiatives that you've been behind.
Sure.
Yeah. What has that looked like for you? What was that experience?
Well, me personally, I always knew at an early age, that I was gay and LGBTQ. And it makes you realize that, someone that's different than you really have to advocate for them or work with them. Like you and I, we always are cross promoting our organizations, and diversity and inclusion is so important. So from the early age of, being the older brother, trying to protect my sister, being LGBTQ, I always wanted to make sure that voices at the table were being listened to and heard. So that kind of was able to help me, dive into it. And something that's kind of cool, Christina, is like we've seen, you don't have to be gay and just focus on gay issues. You can, be at the table for other groups. And that's something I really love about, helping people as well.
So to that point, and I know Skylar has to hear a lot about this in our office because it's just like a lot of the work that we do. We represent a lot of like minority communities. And I do agree, and I will confirm that, me being one of the members of the Latino Democratic Caucus, we have mutually helped each other out because it doesn't matter. You don't have to be, I don't have to be, Black, white, Hispanic, like gay or anything. Like all you have to have is, compassion, for equal rights and all that. So I will personally say that, you and your group and your members have been very helpful in us getting the message out and just amplifying each other's missions overall.
Thanks. Yeah, something that was kind of cool. So last night, the White House, they actually had on MSNBC with Jonathan Kephart, Pride of the White House. It's one of the first times that they ever had something like this. They brought in all the Biden appointees, and they kind of highlighted them. And that was something that was really cool to see. I definitely recommend folks to check out.
Yeah, I think it's super important, especially because, like, as things have gotten more progressive, to see more representation, like, amongst all groups, no matter the color of your skin or what sexual orientation that you have, but seeing somebody that thinks like you and looks like you in big seats in the White House and everything, I think it's so important. And I'm so glad that we're starting to see some sort of representation be publicized more.
Yeah. And also, I mean, representation matters at the end of the day. Like, you can't say that you're progressive. You can't say, like, the Democratic Party has definitely, in my opinion, done a better job of including minority organizations. And I think that we can definitely do better. But I see it to, like, Joe's point. I have seen with the Biden administration, them appointing Pete Buttigieg and appointing, others, and especially like the I believe that she's a principal deputy press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, who
Yes.
Yeah, that's historic, and that
Absolutely.
when someone like, when someone that is from that minority community is included in those positions and have a place at the table, they tend to open doors for other people like us. And that's why it's so significant. But what did you think about that, Joe?
Yeah, so when LGBTQ people are in the office and in positions, it ensures policy and legislation are inclusive, humanize anti-LGBTQ efforts, and change hearts and minds. LGBT people, they're running for office in historical numbers, but we still remain severely underrepresented at every level of government. About 5.6% of the US population are LGBTQ, but only about 0.19% are elected positions. We currently just have about, and this is from the LGBTQ Victory Fund, from the website, but they mentioned that about 989 elected LGBTQ officials in the nation. So we still got a lot of work to do if we want to achieve an equitable representation in the United States.
And I think a part of it is again, education. This is why we have to like have open conversations that they may be uncomfortable, but like this is an educational moment for us as well, by the way. You, Joe, and you enlightening us and informing the people that are following us as well, how we can do a better job to support the LGBTQ community, and just overall support policies that are discriminatory against the LGBTQ community. Were you gonna say something?
So, I was gonna say what's something that's really interesting, Christina and Skylar, is so in New Jersey, there's literally 0 LGBTQ members in the state legislature. That's just one of just 5 states in the whole nation with no LGBTQ at the state level.
Has there been any candidates that have ran for statewide office?
Yeah, so we had previously had some, but for this election cycle, the LGBTQ Victory Fund, they endorsed Vincent Salmino as a spotlight candidate. Vincent is running for, I believe, LD 13 for Senate. And if he was elected, he would be the first LGBTQ member of New Jersey State Senate ever elected.
And this is in this political cycle? This
political cycle, which is really exciting. He's got that rock star kind of star power when you first meet him. Social media, he's everywhere. He's working really hard. But yeah, he's up for this cycle. I believe he has ran a couple times previously. And he's down in the Monmouth County area. So it's something I would definitely recommend keeping an eye out for.
Okay, I need to definitely reach out. Why do you think that we don't, for a state that is so proud of our diversity and us being progressive, why do you think that there aren't enough LGBTQ candidates? Is it a lack of funding? Is it just them people feeling it's a scary situation, actually. It's scary to get into politics. It's not nice, like it's a big deal and a big commitment to do that. So why do you think that that's the case?
Yeah, those are some interesting points. So I went to a training once, and they said that for an LGBTQ candidate, not only are you coming out, before as a candidate to your friends and family, but every time you're in public office, you're coming out. So, whether it's talking to a constituent, maybe you're at a pride rally or, some different event. And that could be really hard for, someone to have to do that repeatedly. But what I think is so important is, there's all the leaders, different icons. I know you mentioned, Skylar, some of the work you did, Marsha, was it Marsha Johnson?
Yes.
You did a nice piece with that. And having these icons and seeing that folks are in everyday positions in life, I think it helps other people come out and it inspires them. Something that, some LGBTQ candidates have an issue with is, sometimes people don't think that they're electable or that they can fundraise. But that's why I think, organizations like the LGBTQ Dems Caucus and the Victory Fund, they're so important because, we do a ton of fundraising. That's kind of how we actually got involved with Biden, right? So when President Biden was up, a group of us, we got together, we said, hey, we want to be at the table. We were doing fundraising. We were going to Philadelphia because they're so close. We're doing GOTV events. I think really utilizing our community and having conversations with them, having, finding out what the issues are, how to get them involved. That's so important. But I think, at the end of the day, if there's positions open, to also encourage LGBTQ people to run for office. It really is interesting.
I think that you're definitely like Joe. You're not only an advocate, but you're talking to the right people that can influence change. And so I think that that's something that you should definitely be proud of. And talk about like educational. I know like Skylar, like we were talking, and you had done some research on Marsha P Johnson, and I didn't realize that she was from Elizabeth. And that's gonna lead me to another question later. But yeah, if you want to answer that.
I didn't even know to begin with that she was from New Jersey, and that the work that she did when it came to, so like for those who don't know, Marsha was from Elizabeth. She was originally born a man, and she fled to New York City to try and be her true self and live her truest life. So she was very active in the gay and trans communities. She was kind of known as a mother following the Stonewall riots that she was participating in, and led the first kind of pride march of what we would call it today following those riots. And she ended up passing away sometime in the 90s, I believe. And her investigation into her death was deemed a suicide because of the political corruption and the police corruption. So I believe her case might have been reopened in 2012. I don't know any sort of remarks on that, but I know there are activism groups in Elizabeth trying to get statues of her, and for the state even to honor her, because such a big political, not necessarily political, but a Black woman and trans woman activist should be honored not only in the city that they were born, but the state that they were born. And I think it's really weird that New Jersey hasn't done anything, even at a state level, to honor the amazing work that she has done, leading to the pride we know today.
As far as we know, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, Joe, if you know.
Well, Skylar, what's so interesting is that, for example, Jen Sortino, she is the first female out LGBTQ mayor born in town. There's so many places in New Jersey where there aren't any, and I think it's so important for people to remember, especially with Marsha, is it was a Black trans woman that sparked this. So that's something that's so important as well.
Yeah, and it's a big deal, I think, that, the fact that she was from Elizabeth, and as a diverse town as it is, I think that it also has a lot of very conservative views. So I think that, it took a lot of courage for her to do what she did. But that leads me actually to like my next question, Joe. And I think that, again, this is, like an educational moment for all of us. But I wanted to talk about pronouns, because as I was saying, Marsha, I'm like, I'm not sure also like what I should be using, and like what is like the significance of pronouns. And it's much more to bring awareness on how and why to use pronouns, so specifically to refer to a person's gender. How would you describe a guide to allies who would want to support the LGBTQ community? Like, what are the rules? What would you say to those who don't understand the usage of it all?
Sure. I would start with saying that I think the most important thing is just asking, right? And being respectful. The pronouns, you want to make sure everyone feels very welcoming and respected. And I think, I'll try to send you some helpful resources with that. Something that I always do with my emails, and even on, it's interesting, Instagram actually just launched the pronouns on the Instagram page as well. So that's something I would definitely look into. And then what's really exciting is tomorrow is actually, let me pull it up. It's National Give Out Day. So National Give Out Day, Wednesday, June 30th. It's a day dedicated to ensuring nonprofits, like Garden State Equality and other groups in New Jersey have resources that they need to advance equality. So that's something I definitely recommend too. We give to our nonprofits, and I definitely would recommend on National Give Out Day, give to a national or local LGBTQ nonprofit. They do so much great work.
I'm sorry, what did you say the website is?
That's not a website, but the day of the event is National Give Out Day. There's a bunch of nonprofits that deal with LGBTQ homelessness. You might be familiar with Garden State Equality. They do great work, HIV. And tomorrow during Pride, because Pride is finishing up, tomorrow's the last day. So on the last day, they have National Give Out Day to support your nonprofits.
Nice. So is there anything, in addition to that, any in-person virtual events going on that people can go to that if they want to be supportive of?
I don't know with National Give Out. I know the Victory Fund posted some stuff on their page, but also check out Pride all throughout really October. There's still a lot of Pride events going on with COVID-19. And that's something I've been doing in my role, been going to a lot of the different Pride events, making sure that, we have registering people to vote and walk with our elected officials. But there'll be Pride events all throughout the summer. I know Asbury, they're in October, but you'll see Jersey City and Newark and some others throughout the state.
So speaking of Pride, Joe, can you kind of explain what Pride means to you?
Sure. To me, that's a great question, Skylar. I gotta say, Pride is one of my favorite holidays. It really is. But I think it's so important. For me, it's about celebration, but also awareness. I think it's an opportunity to come together as a community to educate each other and ourselves. Because even in the LGBTQ world, we mentioned earlier, with trans lives, right? How in the trans community, there's still very high rates of folks getting killed. So I think, education, I think celebration, coming together as a community, I would say that's what Pride, and this Pride this year has actually been really special to me. With COVID, I just feel like it's been really exciting, being able to go out and now getting to see, friends and family throughout the year that we haven't been able to catch up with. So it's been a really nice Pride.
I'm so glad you shared that, because as somebody who is not a part of that community, considers themselves an ally, I always like to know kind of what it means to them to better educate myself and get a better understanding for them.
Well, thank you. Thank you both for being such good allies and friends. Christina, like we mentioned earlier, we've known each other for such a long time, so I'm really honored to be with you tonight.
No, I think that, again, I think that you're doing a tremendous job. I think that you're a great ambassador for the LGBTQ community and so many other communities, because I know that Joe, knowing him for so long, he really doesn't see status or color, in any community. And he's very open-minded as well. But so Joe, I think that, what else, is there anything else that, we're missing? Anything else that you want to touch on? Any policy issues that you think that, you talked about candidates that, when they're coming out, they're not only coming out to their families, but coming out essentially to the world. And we have a low number of LGBTQ candidates in New Jersey. That number in terms of positions, based on what you said, is rising nationally. So how can we change that? How can we support you? Or what are, do you have any calls to action, any website that you want to refer us to? We want to make sure that, one, that we educate ourselves about the policies that, that need to be implemented to support the specific community. And that we also lend our name, not only just in words, but also, be there and present for those causes.
Sure. No, just, on an ending comment, onward to November, I'm really excited to see some of our other elected officials in New Jersey. There's a lot of really good candidates that are running. My friend Anthony and up in Bergen County, and
Plug them away. Yeah.
oh, there's too many. I don't have all their names written down with me, but there's a lot of good candidates. If you want to check out the Facebook page for the New Jersey LGBTQ Dems Caucus, I definitely recommend folks checking that out. The Victory Fund, the LGBTQ Victory Fund, they're doing trainings all the time. They have an annual conference in December. I definitely recommend going to those two sites. You'll be able to donate to your candidates. And if you have any, questions, I definitely recommend folks reaching out to me. I'm happy to, support them and further the mission. So thank you again.
Yeah, there you go. So your contact information was up. We'll also share it again on our social media. But thank you, Joe. Again, we are going to blast this information out as far as we can, and we are going to make sure that we hope we don't bombard you with emails because we know that you're super busy. But just making, you're probably going to have people ask you for questions. We've had these sort of virtual events, and people have follow-up questions. They want to see how they can become engaged. So, again, we'll make sure that we plug that your social media handles, where I know that you're very active. And so we'll include those. But thank you so much for your time. And I really, again, I'm a huge supporter of you, and I'm so proud of everything that you're doing. And I hope to see you run one day for office.
Oh, thanks, Christina. Thanks, Skylar.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.